Hey folks, it's John here. So we're doing a part 3 of our Efneo conversion today. So the bottom bracket's not back from the machine shop yet. So while I was going to do the Efneo conversion first and then upgrade the cassette after, we're going to do that in reverse order. So we're going to upgrade the cassette today. Um, it is a little more complicated than one would expect because it is a velomobile. It's very hard to work on. So I learned some lessons, and so here's the video for it. Okay, so we're going to do start the conversion for Efneo. Now what I was originally going to do was do the Efneo first and then do the cassette in the rear. However, my bottom bracket's not back from the machinist, so we're going to do the cassette first. So I'm going to try it without the extra long derailleur hanger. We'll see, because that derailleur is supposed to be able to handle 39 tooth. So as you can see, this is quite a bit larger. It looks like a friggin' pizza plate. Quite a bit larger than the cassette that's in there. So it will be interesting to see how we're going to do this. And then, of course, here there are the extra rings as well. So that's the 11 tooth, and it's probably a 12 or a 13. I'm gonna guess. Yeah, 11 tooth, 13 tooth. Right. So significant jump. So anyway, we'll get to that. There's an extra derailleur hanger bolt as well for it, which is good. So what we need to do first is to get this stuff off, and in a velomobile it's not trivial. So we have this special tool, and in she goes. And we want to take that off, and so we're going to crank this in. And at the same time, there's a bolt in here that's coming off on the end. And at the same time, this tool is actually screwing into the axle. Okay, so there's a... and we use it to basically crank the axle out. Okay, so that's out all the way. So on this side, there should be a bolt. And you can see the axle will come out a little bit, and then that bolt should drop out. And this is going to pop the wheel off. And down comes the wheel, and the bolt is there as well. Okay, so that takes out. So we'll put that back in the. So this is the end cap. It holds everything on. And then this is the wheel. And you can see on one side smooth bearing, and the other side is a ratchet. So there's a set of pawls there. So this is an open setup. It's not quite like you have it with the free hub. Okay. Now with this axle, that comes out all together, so you can see. And we're actually gonna, I'm just gonna take that tool out of there. We'll put the axle in. And as you can see, that this actually fits in the same way, right? So we'll put this away so we don't lose it. And these cassettes are quite large as well. This is an 1140. because as you can see, it's not trivial to get these things out. And there we go. Should come forward now. I hope. There we go. So you can see these are actually in good shape. These pawls should be. It's nearly a brand new cassette. But you can see the major difference in the size here. So other than that, these look very similar to what you'd have for a bike. So we'll just haul out our blind bracket tool removal here. That should hold it on so it doesn't slip off. There we go. Holy shit, that was on there. All right. So yeah, that was certainly on there. And that's one of the things I find with the Velomobiles. Both Katanga and Velomobile World tend to over torque these things. They torque these things a lot more than they actually need. Right. Anyway, we're going to take that off. So this thing, of course, is a really good cassette, and we'll pop this one on. So there we go. All right, so that's the big one. We've got to get the hairy beasts out of the way here, but basically that's what's going to go back in here. So we'll put that on. The And then of course the chain has to go over the top. There is another spacer there that obviously came off. So I'm going to guess that's here. There's probably a spacer in there. And then a bushing back here. We'll put these here, and then we're going to try and get this beast in here. Now, see that pops off, and that should drop that swing arm. Well, not quite. So yeah, we'll pull that out all together then, and just let her go. All right. So now what we're gonna do is before we do anything is to put the axle back on part way to deal with the cassette. So first thing we need to do is clean up this axle. And we're going to put a little bit of grease on it so it slides nice. And of course that'll do a couple of things. First of all, these things are exposed to the elements because it's the one part of the drivetrain that is exposed, is the axle. And because it does have an interface to the wheel, of course. So we'll clean that up. And then what we want to do is we need to put the spacer back on here. And we're going to put the axle here. And then we'll put the spacer back in, like so. Now this is where it becomes a bit of a pain, because what we need to do is to bring the chain up and make sure the chain goes above the this thing like it's supposed to. So we need to bring the bring the swing arm up again so that we can tell where the chain is. So this is the okay. Right. So that part's on. Now we'll get the condenser. And there we go. So that gets us on to at least the derailleur. Now what I'm going to do is put this back onto the this front idler. Put some tension into it. And we can see here, it's, we'll actually be able to try this out because this looks like to be almost the right length for this. So once we get the wheel back on, we'll actually be able to try this out. So dead air shock put back on the way it's supposed to be. It's a nylon nut, so we don't want to go crazy on tensioning it up. It's more to hold it in place. It is an air shock. And now it's a matter of getting the that steel bearing back on. There we go. And there we go. Well, what we want to do is get the wheel back on and be able to get that to work. And so my end nut is over here, which I'll bring back. Now, what I found with putting these wheels back on, they are a royal pain. So what we need to do is to get it up there and then get it onto the the set of pawls that are there. And we'll take it up. I'll just hang that for a minute, and then what I'll do is I'll get my light. See what I'm doing. And then we need to get down here on the floor and see what we can do here and get it up till onto the hub properly. So there is a spacer, of course, which I need to put on before I actually put that wheel back on. Almost forgot that. So that bushing actually goes into the underneath the pawls, so under the free hub body. So we'll take that off now. And so this goes inside here. Now I'm going to pull that axle back a little bit. Because then it's easier to get the wheel onto the free hub. As you can see, this is a bit of a pain, to say the least. And then what you do is you want to, once we get the axle, get it close to where it's supposed to be, we need to then, there we go. And then, you know, basically, okay, now that's it quite easily. So what we need to do now is to hold that wheel in place while we bang this axle just gently in so that it goes in and it will not pull it off the pawls. If we do it too hard, you're just going to knock the wheel off the pawls. So as we can see now, the axle's going in. All right, and it's come off. Very tricky. And there's that spacer there. And there's a bushing. There's my bushing. Do it again. So the bushing goes on to the axle here. Okay. And we want to make sure the axle is just about flush. Okay, so that went through the bearings, but it did not go through the sleeve. That's where it gets hung up, is on this sleeve. So if the sleeve is not perfectly aligned, that's what's going to happen. So we'll try it again. So now the wheel is on. Is it going to hang up? No, it might not. Nope. Alright, so we may have gotten it on this time. Alright, so the wheel's back on. So now what we need to do is we'll get the okay. So we'll get the Now we have to do is turn the bike on its side. And I'll grab out a set of hemostats, because they're narrow for gripping, and it's just because I can't reach with my fingers where this needs to go. Okay, so that has to go on the very end of the wheel. Okay, so that's right. Okay, there's a bolt in here. There we go. Now what we want to do is just touch on the top of that until it begins to screw in. And once it screws in, yeah, and then we're good. All right, so now we'll turn her back up and tighten her down. All right, and we'll stick that in there, and then okay, so we'll just pop the chain back onto that idler here so that we don't get it all tangled up. We can make sure that and it did, it popped off the front idler here, so it's now twisted. That's kind of what I was afraid of. Okay, so everything's back on. So the this obviously is so we've got a bit of a problem here, and that the chain is not back on that cassette. And it's kind of jammed up in between, which is a bit of a problem. So we'll just screwdriver, because I just can't get enough purchase on it with my fingers to get her back up. And there we go. So now I'll just give that a bit of a pull. Well, it's still not there we go. Now that should be all right. And yep, and it's fine. So where we're going to have trouble, of course, is when we go to the large cogs. So I don't think there's enough room. So we're going to find out. Okay. Popped off, which is a bit of a pain. Just did that one. And how are we doing? So we can still see there's a bit of clearance here. Yeah, we'll see. Okay. Okay. So that looks okay. So we're only going one at a time so that we make sure that we're not going to break anything. Where are we at? All right, so we're third from the top at this point. And how much clearance have I got on the B setting? Quite a bit. All right. Now we need to see where we are and whether we can actually adjust that any further. Because that's second to top gear, and I suspect that if I go any farther I will not be able to. However, there is B set room here, so we potentially could do it. So I'm just so we'll give it a try. Okay, interestingly enough, that went. And how much room is there left on the B setting? Lots. So this is going to work. So excellent, this is going to work. So it looks like we're going to be okay. And in reality, the next thing I'm going to have to do is basically set up that B setting, and then of course once I put on the Efneo is to see if it's going to need more chain, and it probably will. Although this is not, I'm actually surprised because the B setting is, but you know what, there's actually a fair bit of room left there, even once the you know, I mean the chain is too long. Just doing that, it was too long for the rear, but not significantly so. It was still working and it would still shift. So consequently, you know, we're in a place where it could work out okay. Okay, so now we'll just have a quick look, and very hard to see where the B setting is, but we can see it does have to come back a little bit more. Okay, so not a big deal. So which one is the B setting? Is this one here. So we're going to 2mm. Let's give her a try. And success. So what I'm going to do here is we'll give her a push in. look. Now what we want is approximately, it's hard to see, but you want approximately 1.5 links off of that. That looks okay. I can't really see it well, but it's still got a little bit of that it can come back. So I'm gonna put her in a little bit more. It's not quite by the looks of things. It's just not quite there, but it's close. There. Now that should do it. So I'm just gonna, this time I'm not gonna get all cruded up. I'm gonna put a pair of gloves on, and what we'll do is we'll just spin that and make sure that it actually is going to work through the entire gear range. All right. That sounds pretty good. So turned out to be a fair bit of fun, that's for sure. I learned a fair number of lessons with that. There's not a lot of room in there. So right now, all 10 gears work. Their limits are not properly set. So the high and low limits are not set. So I haven't set up the derailleur yet. But I'm not going to do that until the Efneo comes back and I actually have a front gear to play with, so I can, set the chain length to what I need to. But the good news is I didn't need the derailleur extender, and there is enough B setting there that it's going to work. So it was a good upgrade. If you like the content of this video, please hit a like or leave me some comments so I know it's important to you and I keep making videos that you want to see. And if you like my channel, then hit subscribe.